because despite German being his native language, he apparently has a really thick redneck accent. So he's not allowed to do it because none of his characters are rednecks. Anyway, so this month actually marks the anniversary of me doing stand-up and coming up onto the stage. I've been doing it for 1 year now, officially. And despite all of that, none of you, and this is true, none of you have slept with me.
What about Dylan?
Still no. Still no. So I have come onto this stage like almost every week for a year now. I've talked about my experience being pansexual, my experience being non-binary. I've done stand-up, I've done like performance art, I've done like I rapped one time, I did poetry. Like I've done so many things up on this stage, and at one point I gave God the best head of his life. And yet,
the best.
And yet, even after all of that, I've still made that joke 3 or 4 times on this stage. What's up with that? Why can I still do that? Okay, anyway. So, another thing that I've been noticing, reflecting back on my time, not just as a comedian, but also just in general, I've been doing a lot of reflecting this month. Recently there came out this movie called I Saw the TV Glow. And it's been getting a lot of rave reviews. It's like a relatively indie film, but a lot of people are really enjoying it. It's a horror film, yada yada. It is actually the sequel, like a soft sequel to a movie that came out in 2021 called We're All Going to the World's Fair. If you look at the reviews for this movie, you'll see a massive disparity, the largest I've ever seen for any movie, on Rotten Tomatoes specifically, if you look at the score. The critics' score is 90%. So critics love this movie. The audience score is 28%. It is the largest difference I have literally ever seen in any movie ever. So, in preparation for eventually watching I Saw the TV Glow, me and my boyfriend Dominic decided yesterday that we were going to watch We're All Going to the World's Fair. And I think, after all this time, I've decided I'm too old for this shit. I just didn't get it. We looked at the reviews, we tried to watch it, and a lot of people were really connecting to this thing, and they were like, oh man, this perfectly describes the youth experience, and that made me think, holy shit, I'm old. I'm just old now. I don't understand. The whole thing is like this girl, she's trying to make like YouTube content or whatever, and like I do YouTube content, and so I was like, okay, maybe I'll relate to this stuff, and I didn't get it. I just don't understand. Some people put like really complicated essays on how much they related to this movie, or how much they liked rewatching it, yada yada, and I don't get it. And that made me think, maybe I'm just too famous that I'm out of touch. Because, right, it's a known phenomenon. The more famous you are, the less in touch you are. Most famously, well, biggest right now is like Taylor Swift. Like, her most recent album, Don't Kill Me, by the way, a lot of people didn't like it because it was incredibly out of touch. Her older stuff, a lot of people really connected to because she was just a teenage girl singing about teenage girl stuff. And now she's a billionaire. Nobody cares about your problems anymore. They don't exist. I'm sorry. If you can afford to take a private plane across the state, you're fine. Go to therapy. And then, the biggest case of this, across the course of like the comedy world, is Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld. Back in the 90s, when Seinfeld was coming out, and he was on top of the world to the point where nobody cared when he was under a 17-year-old. That really happened, by the way, look it up. It was very public. Anyway, back then, he was on top of the world. He had just gotten, like, I guess he was relatively new to comedy, and he blew up with this show. It became a big success, and then after this show ended, he became so incredibly famous, the highest paid comedian of all time, and has since been unable to make a single funny joke for years. Thank you. My one thing. Most recently, he released an entire movie about the creation of Pop-Tarts. And the whole movie is terrible. It is one of the worst comedies to come out in years. And it is apparently a passion project, entirely funded by him, starring all of his friends, written by him, and there is not a single goddamn joke in the movie. This man is so incredibly out of touch. I swear to God, this turned into a rant.
Yeah.
Fuck Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Woo! God damn. He's lucky he's not a rapper, else Kendrick would be on his ass.
Oh my god.
That's because he likes 17-year-olds like Drake does.
Oh